we have to listen to others, and then we have to listen to ourselves, right? So listening to others, women typically don't listen to other people because number one, we haven't been heard. And number two, we are thinking while someone else is talking because we want to get what we want. So we're trying to think about how to overcome an obstacle while someone else is talking versus actually taking in what they're saying. I mean, I don't know if you ever heard this. I've heard people tell me this. You're not listening to me. Oh, yes, I am. I hear, no, you're not. Mm-hmm. And most women, if they're telling the truth, someone will say to them, you're not listening. And that's a big thing. We have to learn to listen. No one taught us to listen. So I go through these exercises where I teach you actually how to listen to someone else, right? Mm-hmm. Because we miss things. We miss very important things in life because we missed something somebody said. And then we say, well, you didn't say that. And they said, yes, I did. And then we think they were lying. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wait a minute. Did they really say that, or were you not listening? So I always have to check myself on that. Mm-hmm. The other part of listening, it's really important, is listening to myself. Women don't like to be told what to do, even if it's by yourself. I don't like what I hear sometimes. Yeah. And I just go the other way, like, she didn't really say that.
Yeah.
What I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. I thought, Kelly, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go open this bottle of wine.
It's like
squirrel.
shiny object. Yeah. So, and so the only reason women have a problem listening to ourselves is that we don't know what we require. What is my requirement? And I had to go through a lot of that when I was having my relationship with my husband, right? Because I didn't know how to have healthy relationships, love relationships, right? And so I really had to get to the point of what was always the problem. There's only a few things really that always get in our way, and we have to identify them. So I talked about my requirements, right? So it's my requirements for a love relationship. I am a very sensitive woman. I am sensitivity. Mm-hmm. And I grew up in a family where there was a lot of anger, a lot of rage. And so I was always navigating that and very sensitive to that. And so I really got that I would get into relationships with people where there would be drama and fighting because I would be used to that. Mm-hmm. Not that my parents fought. It's just that I fought back to my father, who was very patriarchal. And I mean, he was the love of my life, but he was a very aggressive man, and I was sensitive. So it wasn't good for me. So what happened was I would get in these relationships with very powerful men. Psychology 101, right? And so then I had to learn, okay, in order for me to be in a healthy relationship, I require they don't yell at me. You can walk out on me. Don't ever yell at me. Number two, I had to think, okay, what else bothered me about relationships? You must have a job. Me work, Sue work. I know a lot of women that don't care, right? 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 I know a lot of women that don't care if their spouses work. That's them.
Yeah.
I don't have any judgment about whether their spouses work or not. I have a judgment about mine because I have this thing about if I'm going to put out the energy, they have to put out the energy. Mm-hmm. So, okay, because I had paid for enough art in my day. I wasn't going to do that again. Okay, then you have to be in a relationship with my family. Like, my family is everything to me. So you had to have had a relationship with them, not just show up on holidays and leave. Like, this was, because I was going to have a relationship with his family, so I expected that as well. So you couldn't yell at me, you had to work, and you had to have a relationship with my family. I mean, seriously, that pretty much was it.
Do you always distill it down to 3, or you can do like 3 to 5?
You'll find that you don't really have more than that requirement. Okay. Now, there's a duh list. Like, you can't hit me. That's a duh.
Duh.
I mean, why would you even? Yeah. If you have to put that on your list, we have a problem.
Order the book now, please.
Yeah, or if you have to, you cannot use my social security number without my permission. Like, there are things that we don't. There are those like things that you shouldn't even have to put. Yeah. But you have to look at yourself and what causes you. What do you know is a non-negotiable that if it happens, everything's going to go to shit. I mean, you really have to look at it that way. I mean, if my husband ever came to me and said, I mean, listen, there's a thing called retirement or whatever. I understand that. Yeah. But if he ever came to me and said, I woke up one morning and thought, never going to work again. I am, never going to wear shoes and never going to work again. I'm like, oh, okay, then I would really have to take a look at this, because I would be in a very difficult position, because I know that what was about to happen was an enormous amount of disrespect that I would have for his choice, which I didn't say is right, but it's my requirement. And so it's very difficult. And you have to require that these are the things that have been my triggers. And if you don't listen to yourself and understand what your triggers are, then you're really in trouble.
Yeah, and you're going to keep repeating patterns that get louder and louder and more painful and painful until you get the message, the memo.
Correct.
And this is amazing. I mean, honestly, thank you, universe, because I feel like with every kind of expansion in my life, which is happening now as well, like, you just need the reminder. You need to go back to the tools. And now here you are, and I'm going to dive back into my tools, because I'm like, I need these now, but I'm also ready. I'm like, my vessel has expanded. I've been doing a lot of work, and I'm ready. And now I want to be ready with clarity of how to
receive whatever's next.
Yes.
Right. And that's a great question, right? I'm open to receiving what's next, even if I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But the fact that you say you're open, that cracks open energy somewhere in the universe, and the idea will come. You might be in the shower, you might be driving, but it'll drop in just like the documentary did.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Just we can touch on this a little bit, because we have a tiny bit of time left. Because I do want people to see, like, what a big role you played. We were working together privately. I remember you helped me come up with the name of my production company. Yes. I was pivoting from, like, I felt so powerless in the acting, and like things were changing in the industry. And we were working on, me like receiving and coming at acting. But at the same time, it's like, no, there was this, all of that to say that I was actually more aligned with the creative side of it, and like actively like the directing and the storytelling side of it. And just remind me, we got to talk about the snippets.
Oh yeah. So in the visualizing tool, not only is it about creating your visualizations, which I give a lot of credit to Shakti Gawain and Creative Visualization. She was the mother of all of this, right? But what I did is I take you creating a visualization, a small one, which is why it's called a snippet, and you launch it and tell it to the people in your life so that they can say, I see this for you. And when 2 or more are gathered, or 2 or more visualize, the energy is magnificent. And I can tell you that you launched the snippet of, you created this moment where you were in, I never will forget it. It was 10 years ago, but I can remember it like it was yesterday. You were sitting in a beautiful lawn, and the wind was blowing, and you had known that you had done a documentary that was going to change people's lives. You hadn't even started the documentary yet, and that you were going to have a baby. A beautiful baby that was part of your soul, and you loved this baby before she was born. And that was 10 years ago. And I can remember that, and you shared it with such clarity. It was so real. It's still real today, which is why you manifested both of those things. And I have women that have done this, that have manifested jobs that they never thought they could get. They have manifested relationships when they had manifested and made a snippet of their wedding day, and they weren't even seeing anyone. It has been one of the most incredible, magical times of my life to sit with a woman and listen to her dreams, because our dreams are sacred. And really, there's a little caveat here. Do not share these with anybody who'd be like, well, why do you want to do that? I mean, you want to share it with people that go, oh my God, I want that for you, because you want it. And when you have a whole group of women sitting around sharing their dreams, we used to have snippet parties where women would come together in a circle and say, okay, I'd love you ladies to see this for me. And she would launch, and then she would launch, and then she would launch. And you have a whole group of women launching dreams versus sitting around talking how bad everything is.
Yeah. It's actively creating and
in that
community.
moment, in community, which is so important. And this is what we create within the Quinn Essentials as well. And I recommend that women start these communities, come together with this book, share this with your friends, do the chapter, review them together, and then start launching snippets. It's so magical. And my dream now, my next thing I'm launching is I would love to create a coffee table book where we create snippets from women from around the world. And they send us a picture like they're in Bangladesh and they want us to see something they want to create for their lives. And then we turn the page and she's from Vietnam, and then we turn the page and she's from Idaho, and then she's from Spain, and we have a whole thing. And then maybe it'll become this movement where women support women. I don't even know yet. It's still manifesting for me, but what a beautiful book that would be, where we could look at a beautiful picture of a woman and say, I wish that for her.
Yeah.
You know? And when we start doing this for each other, it just, life begins to change and manifest in the way, and then I can see how the Dalai Lama was right.
Thank you for listening to the Heal Podcast. Be sure to tune in for more empowering wisdom and inspiring healing stories. Oh, and make sure you hit the follow button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss that one episode that holds the answer you've been searching for. And if you feel inspired, we would love you to rate and review us so that we have the opportunity to reach more people. And of course, you can follow us on Instagram for some behind-the-scenes fun and more inspiration at @HealDocumentary and @KellyGorris. Thank you so much, and be well.